What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the farm. So today I am going to show you guys this fun kind of old school homemade stain recipe that we found online. This guy, the name of his channel is Angle's Coat Shop, and he's a wheelwright. So he builds and restores he builds new wagons and restores old wagons. And this recipe is something that would have been used on like old Conestoga wagons and stuff. About a week ago, we built a little fence down along the driveway to make sure that it's kind of hard to see where the culvert is along the driveway, so we built a little fence along it to make sure that nobody falls in it. And I wanted to do something kind of fun with it, with some color, but I figured if I paint it, the paint is gonna flake right off. So Dad stumbled upon this guy's YouTube channel and found this recipe for, it's basically a stain. And so using this, we will be able to get some fun color down on the fence, but we won't have to worry about it peeling off. So the recipe is really simple. It's just a third. You're going to want to use something heavy duty, like an oil paint. So this is just a Rust-Oleum. So it's a third paint, a third linseed oil, and then a third some kind of thinner, lacquer thinner, like this xylene thinner. It doesn't really matter, but a third, a third, a third. And then a little trick you can do on your paint can, if you are sick of getting paint inside of the edge of your lip here, what you can see, what we did here, is we stretched a piece of tape across, and then you cut out on the inside, so then when you pour, your paint just stays on top of the tape. And then when you're done, you can just pull the tape off, and you don't have all that crap build up inside the lip of your lid. There's half a liter of paint. There's our half liter of thinner. Finish off with a half a liter of oil. That's it. And like I said, peel your tape off, clean as a whistle. So down the driveway from the house, this is where we built that little fence railing that I was just telling you about. You see there's quite the little drop off over here down into the creek. My neighbor's pond is over here on this side, and this is kind of like the spillway out of his pond. So we're gonna paint these railings just to give it a little splash of color to make it look good. Now anytime you're doing something like this, make sure you do a sample. Make sure you're gonna like it. So you can see we put a little bit here on this piece of scrap 2x4, and you can see that the grain still is going to show through. You can still see the knots and everything. It's not going to dry perfectly even. It definitely is more, even though it has the paint in it, it definitely is more of a stain than a paint. So what the paint is doing, the 1/3 paint, that's providing the pigment. What the thinner is doing is that is cutting the paint, so it's going to be a lot thinner, obviously, and go further. And then the oil is what is going to help it soak it into the wood. So we will paint it on now, and then I will have to come back later. The paint will be pulled into the grain of the wood with the thinner, and then the oil, I'll have to come back later and give it a wipe down, because some of the oil isn't going to absorb and it will still sit on the surface. So after we put it on, I'll show you guys what that looks like, and then we'll come back in a few hours after it dries and we'll show you what that looks like. Well, here you can see we got this whole side, we got it painted on, and it absorbs really well. But like I said, it's going to kind of leave some of the oil is kind of going to sit on top, but you can see that that thinner really makes it dry quick. I mean, there are spots where it's completely dry already, basically, except you can see kind of that oil residue there on my fingers. And it does not cover like paint. It covers like a stain. Isn't it purty? So I've got it painted all the way around. Dad was here helping me for a little bit. He helped me fly through it. So everything is painted, all of the visible surfaces at least. So now we will wait about an hour or so. You can see in some of these places where it's already just soaking down into the wood. You can tell where there's different hardnesses of grain and stuff, how open the pores are by how quickly that's absorbing. I always think that that's kind of cool when you stain stuff. So we'll come back in a little bit and we'll wipe whatever surface oil is left, because the paint and the thinner will have absorbed, some of the oil will have absorbed, and then whatever's left on the surface we will wipe right off and it'll be all done. So gave it some time here. You can see that there is still some oil sitting on the surface, so we're just going to take a rag, give it a wipe. You can see it's bringing off some of that surface oil. You can see where we've wiped versus like down here where we haven't, what the difference is. And that oil will continue to wick off of there, I imagine, for a day or two. And this stuff does keep. You can put it in a mason jar and save it for your next project. It will separate. All you got to do is just shake her up and she'll be ready to go for whatever the next thing you want to stain is. So that's just a little quick one there for you guys today on just a cool little old school homemade stain recipe. Now you could play around with that. You could use any different color paint that you wanted with it. You know, if you wanted something like with the recipe that I did, if you wanted something that was like a little bit darker of a red, because when you're thinning it down, it is going to lighten that color a little bit. You could add some black to it, just a little bit of black, and then that would take that red back a little bit darker. So you could do any color you want. You could mix colors. It's really kind of like infinite possibilities if you want to use that recipe. Just make sure that you got that a third, paint, oil, and thinner. Well, like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed that quick little one today. If you are going to try this recipe out somewhere, let me know about it. Let me know how it works out for you. If you enjoyed the video, think about hitting that thumbs up. If you like this kind of content, think about subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Until next time, y'all, we'll see you. You guys staying in the shade on this hot day? Oh, come feed us, come feed us.